We're here with Eric Smith from Medicare Advisors of Alabama. We're going to talk about a lot of things in this video, but I want to hear first, just tell me about your business. What is it that you do for people?
Yeah, so our business is fairly simple. The end of the day, our business is helping people.
Yeah.
So obviously the name of the company is Medicare Advisors of Alabama. We started the company in 2017, and I was trying to come up with the perfect name for the company, and all I kept thinking was, what do? Is we advise people about Medicare in Alabama. And so we thought, what better name than just Medicare Advisors of Alabama?
It's very clear.
And that's basically what we do. We advise people about Medicare. Ultimately, we're an insurance agency.
Okay.
We're licensed with lots of different insurance companies.
Yeah.
Those companies pay us commissions when we help people enroll into plans. When you become eligible for Medicare, a lot has to do with the federal government, but also a lot has to do with private insurance companies. When we help someone enroll, those plans pay commissions. Most of the commissions that get paid are always the same, so there's really no incentive for us to suggest one plan over the other. But more importantly, we really are not looking to enroll people into plans. Our real goal of every single person we meet with is just to give good advice.
Yeah.
Sometimes people are still working and just are confused about what to do, and the best thing that we can help them with is just what should you do and when should you do it, and that doesn't cost anything.
Yeah.
We don't charge fees for giving advice, and my feeling is that that's what people need, and that's what we supply, and it's a very simple mission.
That's great. I would imagine that there is a great need for that. It seems, just from my perspective, it just seems like there's probably a lot of information and probably a lot of misinformation out there, and people probably often don't know where to start.
No, absolutely. And so many people are continuously trying to sell something.
Yeah.
And one of the things probably that we struggle with a lot is making sure that people trust us, because we're honestly not trying to sell you something as much as we're simply just trying to give you good advice. And then we are open and upfront about how we get paid. But so often we get paid through referrals. You know, people just refer people to us, and just the idea of the math of that.
Yeah.
The more people you give advice to, the more people who will call you, as long as that advice was sound and trustworthy.
Right.
And if you do that for long enough, you build a really good clientele, whether or not you actually have gotten paid on them or not for something that they have done, just because you build goodwill in the community.
And so how did you personally get started doing this? What was your path like to getting here?
So I grew up in a small town. I'm from Aniana, Alabama.
Okay.
It's a very small little place. Graduated in 1994, so way back now. It doesn't seem like it was that long ago.
It's only 10 years ago.
Yeah, just 10 years. 10 years ago, I had more hair. But basically, I went to the University of Alabama. I have a degree in marketing. When I started out of Alabama, I got into some healthcare companies. I did that for several years, but in those healthcare companies that I worked with, Medicare was involved a lot. So I learned a lot about how insurance companies work with Medicare, and then made some career changes. And then in 2007, Blue Cross actually was starting a division focused primarily on senior products and on Medicare, and interviewed for the job and got the job. And the only requirement was to get an insurance license.
Oh.
I knew nothing about insurance. I knew a lot about Medicare.
Yeah.
And so when I got the job at Blue Cross, I had to get an insurance license. I learned a ton about the government and how insurance works within the government regulations. And then over the years, after working at Blue Cross for a while, they had a huge layoff. I survived the first layoff they had, and then ended up getting laid off in 2011.
I know.
Bounced around to a couple of different insurance companies for several years, continued to learn a lot through that. But then realized through all of those years of working at Blue Cross and several other companies that what everyone needed was the same thing, which is just education.
Yeah.
Because so many people who are becoming eligible for Medicare just don't know what they're looking for or looking at. They have no experience with that, just making those decisions. And so I decided to leave the corporate world, create Medicare Advisors of Alabama in 2017, really just out of necessity.
Yeah.
And the hardest part was for me to figure out how we were going to make a living doing it.
Right.
Fortunately for me personally, my wife has a job, and
Yes.
so she provides insurance and she works full time, and I just took a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And started in my back bedroom, and then it started to grow a lot and started to get a lot of phone calls because I'd been in the industry for so long. Recruited my mom to come work with me. So all of a sudden our office became back bedroom and kitchen table. And then one day my mom was like, listen, we're going to need a much bigger table than this.
Yeah.
Like, more people are calling. And I sort of could see that we were onto something, just what we were trying to do. And then in 2020, got our first office on Columbiana Road in Vestavia.
Yeah.
And then from there, just sort of we're still in the same location, but just have expanded a little bit. So we're a bit larger now, and we have more employees. My mom quit on me.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. I fired her. No, I'm teasing. No, my mom lives 2 hours from here, and she was doing me a favor by helping me for a while.
Yeah.
But we have a great staff now, and a lot of the clients who we helped many years ago still ask about my mom and how she's doing.
Nice.
She's doing fine.
Yeah.
But we have a really great team now, and so we have a nice little group, and we help people all over the state of Alabama, primarily in Central Alabama. But we've just grown a lot since 2017. It's really, truly hard to believe. I had no idea if it would be successful or not. The idea of success is, everybody has a different idea of what success is,
right.
and the only thing that to me that success means is that every day when we leave the office, we have helped someone.
Right.
It is never about enrolling people into plans. It's just what impact did you make on someone.
Yeah. So I know for a lot of people, including myself, the topic of Medicare is pretty confusing. I don't know much about it. I can tell just from what I hear kind of out in the public sphere that it is complicated and that it can be hard to understand. So can you just tell us, what is Medicare, and then what are the different parts of it, and what do they do?
Yeah, absolutely. So just to simplify Medicare, it's insurance that the federal government provides.
Okay.
They provide it for two groups of people, someone who is age 65 and older, and someone who is under the age of 65 but disabled.
Okay.
So one of the things that I always like to do in explaining Medicare is really explain health insurance more than just what is Medicare, because what happens, I think, when you try to explain Medicare is it just sounds really confusing because there are all these different parts and pieces. But I'm a huge fan of using analogies to explain things. So thinking about Medicare, it started in 1965. It passed with Lyndon Johnson, Harry Truman,
really?
very first Medicare recipient. But Medicare, really, the idea of it or the concept of it kind of goes way back in the 1920s and 30s. And when you think about Medicare, it really starts with, just for a conversation, a company like Blue Cross Blue Shield. So way back in the 20s, Blue Cross was a company that contracted with hospital systems. Blue Shield was a completely different company that contracted with physicians.
Really?
So when you think about health insurance, just generally in America, we have two sort of different things happening simultaneously. We have a hospital, which is a building, bed, nursing staff, employees, and then you can have a private physician's practice. And way back in the 20s and 30s and 40s, you had companies that were providing hospital benefits and then physicians benefits. And what happened was, over those decades, those employees would work for an employer, and those employers would offer Blue Cross and Blue Shield. Eventually, Blue Cross Blue Shield merged. We know Blue Cross Blue Shield of Alabama today. But what happened was that those employees retired. In the 60s, they didn't have any health insurance because your health insurance was from your employer. The way Medicare sort of works is Part A is hospital benefits, very similar to the concept of the Blue Cross. Part B is the physician's insurance, very similar to Blue Shield, or that concept, that original concept. So Part A, hospital benefits, are really based off of your FICA taxes. As you work throughout your entire life, you're paying taxes that go towards Social Security and Medicare. So when I become eligible for Part A, I'm eligible to get hospital insurance without paying a premium, as long as I have worked enough to be eligible for Part A with, I've worked at least 10 years and I have enough work history that my Part A premium is zero. So a lot of people will say Part A is free. It is not free. It's just that you have earned it through your FICA taxes.
You've already paid for it.
You've already paid for it. And if you haven't worked, let's just say you're a stay-at-home spouse, then your spouse who has worked, you're a dependent from that spouse, and therefore you're eligible as well because they have worked enough. So you're eligible for Part A, premium free, not free.
Yeah, there's a difference.
Some people do pay a premium, and we can talk about that in a different video. But Part B, the physician's portion, where a physician files claims to the federal government and the federal government pays the physician 80% of whatever that claim is.
Okay.
So when you think about Medicare A, hospital insurance, Medicare Part B is physician's benefits. When I go to the physician's office and show my Medicare card, the federal government will pay that physician a 80% or pay a fee of 80%. So when I'm at the physician's office, Medicare is a fee-for-service insurance.
Okay.
That means that the federal government will pay that physician a fee for the service that the physician provides.
Okay.
And then of that fee schedule, I owe 20% as a Medicare beneficiary.
Yeah.
So when we're thinking of Medicare, we have these 4 individual parts. Part A is hospital benefits. Part B is the physician's benefits. The concept of Medicare is that there's 4 parts. Part C is the most confusing.
Okay.
Part C is something called a Medicare Advantage plan.
Okay.
And Part D is prescription drug coverage.
Okay.
So originally, Medicare had 2 parts that started in 1965, Part A being hospital insurance and Part B being physician's insurance. That was all there was to Medicare until around the year 2000. And then Part C became a thing, which is Medicare Advantage plans, and Part D became a thing, which is drug coverage, which started in 2004.
Okay. So it sounds like Medicare Part C is maybe the one that trips people up the most because it could be the hardest to understand. So can you talk a little bit specifically about that part?
Yeah, absolutely. So Medicare Part C is more of a concept. So it's called a Medicare Advantage plan, and that's what you're going to hear when you see it advertised. But the idea of Medicare Part C is that it's a choice. So when we are enrolling into Medicare, it is a federal insurance, but the federal government gives you an option.
Right.
You can choose the traditional fee-for-service model, which means that I would have Medicare Parts A, B, and D.
Okay.
Or I can choose Medicare Part C that allows me to combine A, B, and D under one plan.
Oh.
So think about it like this. So while I'm working and I have insurance from an employer, that employer has contracted with an insurance company to provide my benefits, right? Me as an employee is trying to decide between high deductible, low deductible. What we're really just trying to do is figure out how much money is coming out of my paycheck, right? Well, when I become eligible for Medicare, I can choose the traditional Medicare option, which is fee-for-service, A, B, and D. Or I can choose a Medicare Advantage plan that kind of combines all of that, and an insurance company could administer my Medicare benefits just like an insurance company has administered my health benefits while I was working.
Okay.
So it looks very similar to my health benefits from my employer.
Okay.
The key to a Medicare Advantage plan, and where it gets really complicated, is that there are so many choices.
Oh.
So
okay.
because insurance companies want to sell you their plan,
right?
And insurance companies are doing multiple things when it comes to Medicare. Number one, they can sell you a prescription drug plan. That's Part D. They can sell you a Medicare supplement plan. So a Medicare supplement plan, also referred to as Medigap, it really is a part of traditional Medicare, but not a part of the federal government. So when we were talking about this fee-for-service model, if I go to the physician's office and show my Medicare card, I'm going to owe 20% of whatever that government fee schedule is, but that 20% that I owe is an infinite number.
Yeah.
I will owe 20% to infinity. I need to buy an insurance policy to supplement my Medicare card to cover that 20%. And then I also need to purchase a drug plan. So if I'm on traditional Medicare, the government is paying my physicians 80%. My supplement is paying the remaining 20%.
Okay.
And then I have a standalone prescription drug plan.
Yeah.
Or I can choose Part C that combines all of 3 of those parts into one plan.
Okay.
The key to it is, which insurance company do I want to administer my Medicare benefits?
Okay.
And that is where the challenges come from.
And is that the determining factor if someone chooses Part C, or if they just combine the others independently, it all comes down to the insurance company?
Yes.
Okay.
You know, insurance company and the relationship between the insurance company and your physician.
Okay.
Because if I show up at a physician's office with an insurance card, I'm going to want that physician to have a good relationship with that insurance card.
Yeah.
Right? That's really,
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
And the one thing that's complicated about Medicare, more than anything, is that it's the same in all 50 states, but where you live makes a huge difference in what insurance companies are available.
Oh.
Right?
Okay.
So Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Alabama is just in Alabama.
Right.
Viva Medicare, which a lot of people in Birmingham may be familiar with, is just in Alabama. Right?
Okay.
So if I live in Utah, if I live in Montana, if I live in Miami, I still have Medicare. I still have these choices. But the insurance companies that are available there, completely different.
Yeah.
That's why it's really important to work with somebody who is local, that understands what's available in my specific area, because what's available in North Alabama could be completely different than what's available in South Alabama or Central Alabama.
Oh, wow.
It's very specific to what's available in my county.
Okay.
A lot of people will hear it's based on your zip code. It doesn't have anything to do with your zip code. They ask that question to simply find out what county you live in.
Okay, so it's a county by county thing, really.
County by county
Okay.
thing. Every single county within Medicare is sort of its own little universe, but the concept of the program is the same. We have an idea of traditional Medicare versus a Medicare Advantage plan, and every individual, whether I'm married or not, so you can have a couple who can do two completely different things. The concept really comes down to what is in that individual's best interest based on their medical conditions, their risk tolerance, their prescription drugs. It's just an individual choice.
Okay.
There's no one size fits all, and there's really no bad option. It's just that you want to be as informed as you can.
Yeah.
And sort of what we do to help simplify this is help people, first of all, understand this. We have a couple of just some visuals that kind of help visualize kind of what's happening that I think are really effective. And then just spend a lot of time on this initial concept of how do you decide between traditional Medicare versus a Medicare Advantage plan? And then as the individual starts to like feel that one concept is better than the other, then we kind of go down that trail to see what it would look like if I chose this plan.
Yeah.
Like, let's give some real life scenarios
Okay.
of what life would look like.
Yeah.
That way they feel more comfortable with it.
Okay.
You know, and we spend a lot of time with our clients before we ever even get to a place of should you enroll or not.
Right. Because I'm sure there's a lot of background information you need to know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not as easy as just somebody called me over the phone and I said yes.
Right.
That's really where the problem comes in.
Right.
Because when we think of Medicare, there are so many commercials and so many
Yes.
ads and so many are you getting the benefits you deserve.
Right.
And a lot of these benefits are great. It's just, do I need to sacrifice a physician to be able to
Right,
get
yeah.
these benefits? Or can I get the benefits and still see my physician? Or do I have a condition that requires me to have monthly infusions that is more important than getting that crown
Yes.
on my tooth?
Absolutely.
Right? So every single thing about your life comes into play.
Okay.
And we're there to help people on the front end and
Yeah.
also on the back end
Yeah.
as your needs change.
Why do you think Medicare seems so complicated to most people? I mean, I think the easy answer is because it is complicated. But what would you say if someone said, why is this so hard? What's your answer to that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think Medicare is primarily complicated because we have no experience with it, right? So think about your entire life. So as I have worked, my insurance has always been from my employer,
Yeah.
right? So I'm a kid, my insurance is from my parents' employer,
Yeah.
right? So I'm an employee. My choice was plan A, plan B, high deductible, low deductible, right?
Yeah.
So I go through my entire life not having anything to do with the government, healthcare. My employer has made these decisions. Then all of a sudden I hit 65, and that's sort of the magic window, because when you turn 65, you have a 7-month window that you can do something related to Medicare. But the thing about that is that every single person who advertises knows that you're going to be 65. It's easy to run a list of people's birth dates.
Yeah.
So about a year before your birth date, you start to get a ton of mail. This mail triggers you to be able to start to see advertisements. You start to try to figure out what's going on, and it seems so foreign.
Yeah.
And no matter how intelligent you are, if you have no experience,
Right.
this becomes incredibly daunting.
And it levels the playing field for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We work with people with all different levels of education,
Right.
all different levels of income, and every single person has the same problem.
Yep.
Why is this so complicated? It really isn't that complicated. I am not that smart, and I was able to figure it out. What I'm able to do and what our team's able to do is take a step back a little bit,
Yeah.
help you understand what is happening,
Yeah.
that the government really is just trying to provide health insurance to people who are over
Certain
65
groups of
or
people,
under
yeah.
65 who are disabled. But if I'm still working, and I have insurance from my employer, I'm probably going to hear a lot of, if you don't do something, you're going to be penalized. That could be true, but it also may not be true. And we just simply try to provide that information. So the hardest part is, do I need to do something? And a lot of the time, the answer is no.
Interesting.
Or maybe just a little bit of something that you need to do, but you just need to kick the can a little bit down the road.
Okay.
But the gist of it is complicated because you just have no experience.
That makes sense.
And the lack of experience leads to a lot of frustration. That frustration leads to a little bit of fear. I don't want to make a mistake. And that frustration and fear allows you to be a little susceptible to someone trying to sell you something.
Yes, because they're preying. I'm wondering what the fear mongering aspect is like on this, because it feels like there's a little bit of people like preying on your fears to get you to pull the trigger on something that you may or may not actually need to do.
Yep, absolutely, constantly, because fear sells.
Yeah.
Right? So if I make you fearful of something, then I'm likely to enroll to protect myself.
Right.
But if I don't understand what those fears are, I'm likely to do anything.
Yeah.
And what will happen is that whatever you choose will probably work.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like, oh, I'm so glad I did this. But you didn't understand why.
Yeah.
And then a friend of yours will have chosen something completely opposite.
Right.
And it also worked.
Yeah.
And they have no idea why you're paying so much more, but your friend's paying less, and why they pay different.
Yeah.
This is the reason I created the company.
Yes.
So the concept is, instead of fear, let's replace that with education, right? Let me explain what's happening. Let our team explain what's happening. That way you're making an educated decision at the right time based on knowledge that removes that fear. And then we have a better idea of what is the best for me now and what happens in the future should something else change. Right? So that is the key to making this as simple as possible, because fear is overwhelming. I'll give you a personal story. I say this to so many people, but I'm not good at making things, building things. I may be the world's worst husband, even though I love my wife and my family very much. But a husband is supposed to be able to like do plumbing and electricity and all these kinds of things, right? Well, I can't do that, right? I don't know anything about that. So I rely on people who come into the house and say, hey, you need a new whatever, right? If they tell me I need a new flex capacitor, I'm like, maybe I need that.
Sign me up.
And then I Google flex capacitor and it's like, something that was used on Back to the Future.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I guess I don't need that, because I'm at the mercy of whoever's telling me something, right? That's the way we all live.
Yeah.
And Google is such a important part of our life today that we're always trying to Google and research stuff. But if you just don't have that basic education, we really need a team, someone that you can trust. And trust really just comes from referrals and people saying, hey, you can trust this person. A lot of us look at reviews, who has commented about this, because the more people have commented and said something positive about somebody, you'll be like, oh, I guess I'm willing to try. Right. And then you'll have that experience. And at the end of the day, what I realized for myself, and I feel like that's what people need when it comes to Medicare.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned that once you turn 65, you have 7 months to engage in Medicare. That sounds really scary, because it feels like there's this huge deadline, and then if you miss it, you're just out of luck for the rest of your life. What's the situation on this?
Yep, no, that's a great question. So when you turn 65, it creates what's called your initial election period, your initial enrollment period, the first time that I can do something, right? It can also be earlier if you're disabled. Okay. So one thing just to know about disability is when I have a condition that requires me to no longer be able to work. I can be eligible for Social Security disability, and after I've had disability for 2 years, most of the time, then I also become eligible for Medicare. Okay. Either way, it's a 7-month window from your Medicare start date. Okay. So assume that Medicare for somebody starts in January, January 1st of 2026. Well, the first time that you can actually enroll in Medicare for that person would be October 1st, right? So October 1st, November, and December is their initial election period. That just basically means that I can enroll into Medicare during that time, and whatever plan that I pick would start January 1st. Okay. If I miss that window, I can enroll in Medicare in January, or I can enroll February, March, or April. Okay. Right? Because I have this 7-month window. That 7-month window is really primarily for somebody who has no health insurance.
Okay.
So for somebody who is on Marketplace, which is also referred to as Obamacare or just individual health insurance, that's a really important window because you do need to do something during that time. What gets people really confused is, what if I'm still working?
Yeah.
Right? Just because I'm turning 65 doesn't mean that I'm retiring.
Right.
Right? But I'm also getting advertised.
Yeah.
And I'm being told that if I don't do something during this window, I'm going to be penalized.
Yeah.
And that is where the fear really happens.
Yes.
So if I'm working and I have insurance from my employer, more than likely, I really don't need to do anything.
Okay.
Right? Number one, Medicare Part A is an entitlement. That doesn't mean that you didn't earn it. You're entitled to it because you have earned it.
Right.
Right? So when you hear politicians talk about entitlements, well, yeah, I'm entitled to it because I paid FICA taxes.
Right.
I started working when I was 14.
Yeah.
So I've been paying FICA taxes for a long time.
Yeah.
So therefore, when I turn 65, I'm entitled to it.
Right.
I should more than likely go ahead at age 65 and enroll into Medicare Part A because I'm entitled to it, not because I'm going to be penalized.
Okay.
And I need to do that in that 7-month window. However, if I don't do it during that window and I'm still working and I have insurance from my employer, I can do it at a later date.
Yeah. Okay.
I just need to make sure there's a couple of nuances sometimes that if my employer is smaller, sometimes less than 20 employees, I may need to enroll into Medicare. So there's some nuances to that.
Okay.
And that's where each individual situation is a little bit complicated.
Yeah.
But this 7-month window is important. Not necessarily that you need to do something, but to find out, should I do something, right? And this is one of the reasons why we spend so much time talking about advice, right? Because if I'm turning 65, the advice may be, you don't need to do anything.
Yeah.
Or the advice may be, you need to do something.
Yeah.
My belief is that if we help somebody and we tell them, yeah, you don't need to do anything, you're perfectly fine, they'll remember us because we built a relationship and they can trust us.
Right.
And they will refer other people to us. And then when it's time for them to enroll, we're going to be here for them.
Yeah.
We're here for their family. We're here for friends. We're here for all the things. And we'll just wait for their turn.
Yeah.
Whenever that is. That is as simple as it is for us.
Right.
But the 7-month window is important. It may just be that I need to find out that there's nothing for me to do.
All you have to do is really ask the question.
That's right.
Okay.
And the key to the question is what question to ask.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that we also do really well is letting people ask us questions, but at the same time say, what you really should be asking is this.
Okay.
Right? Because a lot of times people don't know what to ask.
Yeah.
And, just like me, if you call somebody, you call a 1-800 number, or you talk to somebody over the phone, whoever you're talking to is going to tell you a lot of things. And you're going to ask some questions about what they're telling you, but you don't really know what to ask until it's too late.
Yeah.
And you've enrolled into something and you're like, oh, well, I didn't think to ask that.
Yeah.
That's why education is so important.
Yeah.
To slow down. And we kind of encourage people that if you're 64, before you start to get bombarded with all of this information, or even younger, and you just want to learn about Medicare, we teach a lot of classes, and we're always happy to kind of help people just understand what they're looking at, just to have enough information just to be armed to know, hey, I'm not going to need to do anything.
So tell me, this is a big process, it feels like. What are the 3 most important questions that you think people should be asking when they're first getting started with Medicare?
Yeah. The first one is, should I do something?
Okay.
Right? Should I enroll?
Yeah.
Right? That's going to depend on, am I still working? Do I plan to retire? Does my spouse have insurance? Should I be under my spouse's insurance? Yeah, should I do something?
So should I even be doing this? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Should I even be doing something? The second question is, if I do need to do something, then am I looking at how do I make sense of all the information? Should I choose a Medicare Advantage plan, or should I choose traditional Medicare with a supplement and a drug plan?
Yeah.
The third question is, once I decide I want to do traditional Medicare or a Medicare Advantage plan, which insurance company?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because then you have to kind of weed out the competition, because there could be 20 insurance companies selling you the same product.
Right.
So I always like to use analogies. And if you are if you decide you're shopping for a car, right? And you've decided that I want a Toyota Camry XLE.
Right.
Well, it's taken you a while to decide that's the car you want.
Right.
It started with, do I want a sedan or do I want a truck? And then you finally decided, I want a Toyota. Well, I want a Camry. I want this version of the Camry. Then it's, where do I buy it from? Right? Do I buy it from this Toyota place or that Toyota place? But the difference in that is that's a tangible product.
Right.
And Medicare is an intangible concept that is more personal. And it's really important to us that you sort of slow down to understand what is a car.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah. Something that you're kind of like taking for granted that you know, when maybe you need to just sort of back it up a little bit.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so often what you're going to hear from people who do what I do is, let me tell you about this product and what it can do for you.
Right.
When you're like, do I even need this product?
Right.
Right? So that's the first question, is, do I even need it?
Yep.
Second question is, what type of product do I need? And then where do I get it from?
Thank you so much for telling us about Medicare and what it is and how to even get started with it and what questions you should be asking. This is Eric Smith from Medicare Advisors of Alabama. He is here to help if you are not even sure where to start with this, if you're just thinking about it or you've already been checking into it. He's the guy to come see, because he is not here to sell you anything. He's here to educate and advise you. So thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much.